So this is the Snap stock from Friday. This is sort of some of the stuff I was thinking of and looking back now, thinking of before it eventually did break out. For Snap here, what I noticed here was, the bigger picture was that it was nearing all-time high. You had this $80 sort of psychological level, but then you also had the all-time high here at 80.86. The open sort of told us that the open definitely told us it was resistance, but I think it kind of told us that $80 wasn't maybe as ideal of a spot, even though it did turn around, but it took it about 50 cents higher. So I think at this point, I kind of should tell myself, well, we don't know exactly where the area is, but it's somewhere around here, right? Anyway, so price comes down, then price comes back up. At that point, our vol was at, I think, 130% maybe, right around here. So already right here, our vol is higher than normal. Like this is already more than normal R vol, right? So you have more than normal R vol and volume just near the top. So that's already giving you a little bit of something, like, okay, something's up. We don't know yet, but let's keep watching. And then price goes up. And then once we get around here, which is whole dollar, $80, and then closer to the high of today, R vol goes up to over 150%. So you have higher volume and then even higher as it gets close to this resistance. So overall, we know right now that this resistance is holding up, right? It's resistance. It was resistance on this all-time high day, and then again, it's resistance today because we have a lot of volume keeping it down. But at the same time, we're saying in a bigger picture, we have a lot of volume with not a lot of price movement, right? Because price just keeps kind of coming up in this area. So that tells me that the longer that volume is coming in with lower price movement like this, the more stops are going to be in place here, and then if that happens, the more stops are then going to be activated when all-time high is breached. So it's just kind of that art of trying to figure out that. But then the when is the tricky part, because there's a lot of volume and prices coming up and down in here, and if there's more volume still, it can keep happening. So it's like you don't know when, and I think that's why these breakouts are so tricky, because the market makers and the bigger players are going to take advantage of this as long as they can until they can't do it anymore, until they've accumulated all they have and they're now ready to sell and change the character. But what you can notice here are some clues. So we get all the way back up here near the high, and it breaches it a little bit, but you can see there's no continuation, but just a lot of volume, which again, a lot of resistance, a lot of volume with low price action, just a lot of stops just being accumulated up here and up here. It's all just being accumulated as a big resistance area. It's not exactly perfect, but clearly this whole area is not, it doesn't care about any specific price at this moment. It's just a lot of volume happening. So I think that's where it can be tricky, and that's where, if I'm noticing that a clear level, this 80 wasn't exact. This wasn't exact because it went above it a little bit. All of this isn't exact, so it's not, I can't be fighting an exact price right now. I need to just be understanding the overall theme, which is a lot of volume. We're up near this all-time high. This has potential. Is it today? I don't know, but let's just keep watching the smaller time frames and maybe we can get some clues, and I should be ready to react when we have that clear change in character and that clear breakout point. So here I noticed, we had this volume fails up here, and then it comes down, and then right here at the $80 we have a bunch of volume, so that holds it up. So that's good, right? And then it comes up here, and then it, at the high, it keeps it down with a lot of volume. So as of right now, within this bigger idea, we also have a battle going on right here, 80 and 80.50. So within the bigger idea, we have another clue, which is, okay, we have even another battle right here, which might help us maybe for an entry point, or might help us tell us that something might be getting closer and getting ready. Because as of right now, within this range, we have these high volume bars, so we clearly have stops placed under here, and then we have stops placed here, which this might not be related to the bigger theme. This is just related to just this. But this can help, right? This can help cascade the movement, because if price does get above here, these stops will get put out or have to cover, which will then cascade it, which might start the bigger idea, which might get it to all-time high, which then that will cascade to the bigger, even bigger players then coming in. And because bigger players will then come in, whether they're covering or they're now buying, because, you know, there's a million different variations of orders, a million different people looking at this with different ideas, then we should get much higher volume. Bigger players will get involved. So that's what we're essentially looking for. So this kind of can give us a clue that something might be preparing. So we have a smaller range, clear levels here within the bigger idea. So let's watch and see what breaks, because say price does come back down and say another spike in volume, but then there's another spike in volume that really gets it underneath. Well, then these buyers might have to cover, or these shorts might come in, and then you have a cascade down. Well, then that just means this overall theme resistance area is holding resistance for one more day or one more period of time, and then now we have the smaller battle winning to the seller side, and then we might have it come back down or whatever, and this might take later on in the day or maybe tomorrow or whatever. So then if we play the tape here, we'll see what's about to happen here. So you can see prices coming up. You can see orders way above the ask here. We're really nearing that high of day right now. Boom, you had some covering, right? So already we're starting to see potentially the buyers winning here and sellers maybe covering. And this should start to happen pretty fast as this little mini battle wins, and then eventually we'll get up in this area. And like I said, I don't know exactly which area, because you can't really play the pinpoint to the penny here, but we know somewhere in here big players are going to get involved or get out, etc. And then we're going to have even more volume. So as of right now, our vol is increasing 152%. All of that should continue. We really shouldn't see, you know, if price does come back under that, that's going to be a failed breakup and sellers are in control. However, the opposite will occur if buyers start to happen. So like I said, it's not an exact area. There is a battle. This is a big resistance area here. And I think that's why it was so tricky, but see this huge volume that just came in. So clearly a big player is getting in or out. This might be the start of it. And this is me jumping around to other stocks. So, okay, so there we go. So it failed there. So we got, sorry. Ugh, keep jumping around. Oh my God. Okay, right there. So it's unfortunate we missed some of it because I was jumping around, but you can see it did sort of break this mini battle here and here. It broke it, had a big spike in volume. Didn't really have continuation though. So maybe that's why it just did its spike and then it came back down with lowering volume, even though this was still higher volume than here. So our vol was still increasing. So again, it's kind of doing the same thing on different time frames. So then it does come down about 50% of that battle, comes back up, and then sure enough, it's making its ascension with really high volume. Now 162% R vol, breaking this, breaking all-time high, sort of cascading, breaking whole $1.81. So I would say this has got to be the move now happening, right? Like it's now made up its mind. It's pretty much gone above all of the resistance sort of smaller time frame points within this bigger idea. You know, the whole $1.80 is now done, the half dollar 80.50, the all-time high, and then the whole $1.81. You've pretty much passed everything you could. Now you're above it. It should have only one way to go, which is up. If that's what is going to give you the continuation, it's going to be that way. If it comes back down, it's just not doing that bigger idea. And you know, I don't really know how to explain that, but it just makes sense to me that it's a long here. And this volume should increase. Now we're going to have bigger players coming in. This should start going up, you know, maybe closer to 200%. You can see big orders, big highlighted orders just showing up all over the place on the level 2. It's just a complete change in character. Just a complete change in character. I mean, look at just the buying in, the selling is just completely higher. Just on average, buying and selling is just all around higher. It's just bigger players are now involved. And so to me, if you have that, if you had somewhere in, you know, if your entry was somewhere in here, which I would have loved to have had that, because you sort of saw this coming, or maybe you had a small position here waiting for the bigger idea. Wherever, if you had some kind of position in here and you see this happening, sure, you could be selling, but for me personally, I think you should just be holding, because this is just the beginning of this sort of bigger move just starting. It's just starting. We need to wait now for reasons to exit, because it's just now entering its kind of bigger move. So I wouldn't be selling if I was in down here. At least a lot of it, I would be either holding or buying, and then kind of playing this now bigger player move. And you can just see how much faster now it's moving. It's in a clear direction now. And here, this was all accumulation, distribution, you know, probably more like accumulation before this bigger move, and now they're selling. Usually I can reset the ATR here. I would pick this ATR line up and set it right on top of sort of where this started, because it seems like a lot of times we'll get a full ATR move from this point, because like I said, it's big players involved. This is a whole new ball game here. This is like a whole new opening trade. And this was just the precursor, and this was just the preparation. The bigger the preparation, the bigger the move. So again, it's just so fucking clear. Just tons of volume, continuation, buying and selling. You can see right there, just so here's the RVOL, 182%. So we've increased from like 130 to 180% in a matter of an hour. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mainly wanted to go over sort of the preparation to the breakout for Snap, because you know this is sort of my main setup, and something I just want to get better and better at. And you know that they're gonna be tricky with these breakouts, because they know people are looking at it here, and so they're gonna become you know, good at faking people out, at accumulating as much as they can before moving it up. You know, here it spiked up. Maybe people were getting ready for the breakout, and they made a really good decision to then bring it back down and really take its time and just compress in this bigger area, and then even compress even further in here as they could really feel and get ready and accumulate their last amount. You know, this big spike in volume here might have been one big last accumulation. But the goal for me is to sort of be patient, but be ready in here and know that something is up. Not get too overwhelmed with this, not waste too much energy, but maybe add in a swing position or a small position for the idea for this. If my small position doesn't work and this isn't the day that it works, oh well. But if it is, I can make my week because I've already averaged in, and I can get even heavier here. Because honestly, no doubt, like right here or anywhere in here, I'll just go heavy no matter what at this point, because I just understand this bigger idea and bigger theme. But it's in here that kind of gets me, and I think this is where they're smart, and they know how to trick people. And this is always going to be different. Like as soon as people figure this out, as soon as I figure this out and get good at it, they're going to have another way of doing it. And so that's where we just get good with reading the clues and the volume clues. I mean, the volume tells you the most. So, but I think it's the smaller resistances that lead all the way up to the bigger resistances, which can kind of help you. $80 was a psychological resistance. $80 was yesterday's high. We know that was a level, but then it does break it pretty easily, comes back down, then breaks it semi-easily again today. So we know, okay, 80 is resistance, but it's not amazing, so we're not going to freak out about that. And then today's high was also resistance. It did break it a little bit, so it's some kind of resistance, but it's not perfect because it is moving through it. So it's like resistances aren't perfect, and they're meant to be changed, and you kind of just accumulate them together. So together, to me, it was like $80, today's high, all-time high, and then maybe one last $81 hold thing to be combined to be one big resistance zone. And once this is all breached, then it's finished. Then all the covers are now fully covering, and you have the bigger players covering it, and it just can't go anywhere but this way, because it's now, it's now the balance is now completely teetering now to this side, at least for the time being. And when you get larger players, this is a lot of volume, so this takes a bit of time. So that's why we get in, and it seems like a long time, but it's really not for all this volume. So for us, we get in and it takes an hour or two. We have this nice big move. We can take it fully advantage of that. And here's the SPY. So you can see the SPY, even though it was strong on this day, wasn't anything special around this time. But later in the day, SPY does end up breaking 444 later, I think, and making a good little one last move into the close somewhere up in here. But I don't think that this was super related to this. Maybe a little bit, but I think this was sort of separate.